Guys, settle for three. Joey, Cameron, Evan. It has been a long time. Cam, I miss your smiling, beautiful face.
Well, I'm glad I can give it to you today, Joey, in the not way that that just came out, but we're gonna pretend that didn't come out that way.
The family program, dude.
It is family program, so I didn't go any deeper, but I'm glad to be back.
All right, let's just get into it. We're gonna do news headlines here. And Cam, why don't you take us away?
You've got it. Alrighty, so for our first one today, we have pressure on Oklahoma or on Texas going into the 2025 regular season. Oklahoma had a relatively down year last year with the one big upset win coming over Alabama, while Texas made a run to the semifinal in the college football playoff. The interesting question is Texas is veering in or coming in on a $50 million roster, is the conversation that most are having. And Brent Venables is no longer in his honeymoon period with Oklahoma. I personally think there is more pressure this year on Oklahoma to do well, as they do have a pretty difficult schedule. But if Sark doesn't make another run at the playoff with this roster, could be interesting. Next, we have Texas A&M and Mike Elko. Will they be able to take the next step this year? Last year, Texas A&M nearly made the SEC championship, but were just kept out due to the last game of the season. The question that surrounds everything is, will the quarterback play significantly improve over what they had to end the season? I personally am a bit leery. However, I do think they make that next step. I don't think they make the SEC championship, but I do see a 10-2 season on the horizon. College football makes the playoff major change to seeding. Everyone's seeing this. We all saw this last week, and it made the rounds across all of social media. I think all three of us are probably going to have thoughts. The biggest thing to take away, the top four seeds are no longer automatic buys for conference champs. I personally think this is a step in the right direction. However, there is a lot more to kind of digest with this. Are we expecting a down year for Georgia in 2025? They have made the college football playoff, the last 4 or 5 seasons, with 2 national titles in there as well. They've had an excellent coach led by Kirby, but they've also had some incredible talent over the last few years too. I'm not sure that this team is quite up to the same standard as those other ones. However, I think they could still be very good. I'm expecting a 10-2 season out of them this year. And then last but not least, is the Pac-12 officially dead? As of June 1st, 2025, all teams that want to join for the 2026 season must submit their notice to their existing conferences in order to join the Pac-12. As of today, May 28th, no other teams have actually put in notice to join the Pac-12.
All right, thanks, Cam. That was riveting. Let's just start with the easiest one, and I think we can all answer this in one word or less. Is the Pac-12 officially dead, Evan?
So, sorry, real quick, I just want to say congratulations to Cameron on finding his news voice. That was
Oh, there we go. Yep,
fantastic.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Pac-12, they are not officially dead, but they are well on their way. At this point, they're just relaying the inevitable. Every single team that wants to leave their conference to come to the Pac-12 is going to get sued so badly for coming, and vice versa. It's just delaying the inevitable.
I'd say that the Pac-12's in a lifelong coma. Technically, they're still there, but they ain't waking up.
Yeah, they're not
So,
brain dead. They're not brain dead, but they're, physically.
but obviously, Cam, you think that there's anything here with them or no?
I actually do. Some of the teams that are getting passed around to join are San Diego State, Gonzaga. The interesting part is I think this is almost more of a non-football
Yeah.
arrangement than it is
Yeah.
college football. And
I
I
was
think
going to
if they're
say,
doing
yeah,
it for basketball being Power Five, it does make sense.
Gonzaga.
right.
Yeah, they're getting
Gonzaga, yeah,
Gonzaga.
they
Yep.
can't, they can't join for football, but they've talked about almost every other sport.
Correct.
All right, I think let's move on. And I think the next one we're all going to agree on is the straight seeding model with the college football playoff. I think we all think it's a great idea. Cam, you've been harping on this for a long time.
I think it's a step in the right direction. Do I think it's perfect? No, but I don't think it ever can be with the number of teams in college football. For me personally, I like it more than last year. I'm waiting until next year when it becomes a 14 team playoff with three automatic buys for the SEC and three automatic for the Big Ten. It is coming, like it or hate it. Um, but I personally think this is a step in the right direction after year one.
And Evan, transitioning to you, something that caught my eye today, Lane Kiffin said this week that he thinks it should just be 16 teams ranked 1 through 16 with no conference championship filler or anything. I thought that was pretty interesting.
I like that. So here's the thing: championships for their conferences are pretty much going to mean nothing anymore. The only two conferences at this point that might have a little fight for it are the SEC and the Big Ten. And even then, not so much. Think if you are Kirby Smart with Clemson in the ACC championship against, let's call it SMU again. Are either teams playing their number one people, knowing for a fact that they have an in into the college football playoffs? Probably not. So you're going to have a lot of conference champions just basically lackadaisical. It's almost going to be like a Pro Bowl at the end of the day, where there's not going to be a whole lot that happens. So they're going to have to expand the college football playoff in order to make it anywhere near the excitement that it's going to be, because the conference championships just aren't going to be there.
All right, well, one of those teams that I feel like we see every year in the college football playoff or SEC championship is Georgia. Is there a chance that Georgia kind of takes a step back this year? And Evan, I want to start with you on this one. What is a step back for Georgia? Are we talking 9-3, 10-2?
A step back from Georgia is probably somewhere around 9-3. And here's the thing: they every year for the last few years, they have had that guy, whether it be Brock Bowers, Bennett, all those guys that were ready to come in and they were seasoned. They knew how to perform their job. They did great. Gunnar Stockton, he did a really good job in the SEC championship. He did an okay job in the college football playoffs. It's just how it is. But here's the thing: Georgia this next year, their schedule, if they were going to have a down year in terms of talent, this is the year to do it. Their biggest home game is against Tennessee because they've got, let's see,
No. No, 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 no. Their biggest game of the
oh,
year is their biggest
no,
game of the
I
year
don't
is in
count
Jack.
Florida. I don't count Florida as an away game only because it's
They
on
have
a
Alabama
neutral
at home
They
as
site.
have
well.
Alabama at home for the first time in eight
That's what I'm
years, and they
saying.
haven't
That's
beaten
what
us
I'm
since.
saying. That's
You
not a
said
road game, though.
Tennessee.
As a road game, you dunce.
No, they play Alabama at home.
No, they
He's
do not. They play
Yeah.
Bama at home. They play Ole Miss at home. They play Texas at home. Tennessee is the only true away game in
Oh, you
Neyland
said
Stadium.
home. You said home. That's why I
Yeah,
got
it's amazing when you listen. That's incredible.
I think
So,
Joey did the same thing that I did.
well, it's possible that I could have just said the wrong thing too.
I'm not getting in
But
the middle of you guys, even though
but
I'm
here's the
literally in
thing:
the middle of you guys.
if there's a season for them to have a downturn in terms of talent, it's probably this year when they're going to have most of their big games in Sanford Stadium. All the rest of those games, let's be honest, they are most likely going to win just on sheer determination alone because they've got the talent to make up for it, just the baseline talent. So, Gunnar Stockton or not, a lot of these games are going to be wins.
They also can't possibly drop any more balls than they did last year.
No.
I don't say that, but yeah.
Uh, my point on this is really quick, and it's going to be a disappointing year for them because they're going to lose to Florida in Jacksonville. And anytime you lose to your rival, it's a down year. So they may go 11-1, but it's going to be a down year for Georgia. Another team that really wants to be nice, They play in College Station, Texas A&M. Do they make the leap this year, Cameron?
I personally think that year one was actually over the expectations that were set. I think that if they had gone 7-5, that probably would have been Mike Elko's like ideal number for them to go 9-3 and actually be competitive for the SEC championship berth. I thought was unbelievably impressive in year one. As I said previously, if they get the quarterback play that they need, and Elko is the defensive coach, I really think this is a team that could theoretically be in the SEC championship and very easily could make a playoff berth.
And
Yeah, I can't wait to argue with you. So Texas A&M going into this year, they've got a team that's relying a lot on who's it, Marcel Reed at the quarterback
mhm.
position, right? Very good quarterback, very good team, but at the same time, they've got a really really tough SEC schedule. They're out of conference. They've got Notre Dame, who
Yeah.
just made it to the national championships. Then
They
the
Who
then
beat
nearly
the,
them?
beat last year.
exactly. Well, yeah, but again, returning a lot of people. Got Florida, LSU, Missouri, who sometimes we think is overhyped, but they can show up for a lot of games. South Carolina, which Cameron you love, and Texas. That's what, six teams that are on the bubble. I mean, at the very least, they are looking like very, very good teams. If they lose two of those, I hate to say it, it's still going to be kind of a down year for Texas A&M. I don't know if they're going to take that next step. They might, on the flip side of Georgia, they might make that flip in terms of talent, but not necessarily in terms of record.
Evan, what do you think is like an ideal record for them this year? You think it's 10-2? You think it's 9-3? You think it's 7-5? What are you thinking?
I would think 8-4. I think 8-4 is
Hmm.
a really, really good record for them. They had a little bit of an easier schedule last year, and they came alive towards the end of the season. If they can stay consistent the entire time and flip a few of these that I just named, that's going to be a really good season.
Joey, what are your thoughts on this?
So building off what Evan just said, 8-4. Guess the number of wins Texas A&M has had the most, or had the most of each season in the last 30 years. So have they had the most 5-win seasons in the last 30 years? 6 wins, 7 win, 8 wins,
Probably 8, if I had to
Eight.
guess.
8. They've
Yeah,
had 8 wins 8 times in the last 30 years. In 21 of the last 30 years, the Aggies have won between 7 and 9 games. Okay. They've only won more than 10 games twice in the last 30 years. Both those years, they won 11 games. I think it was one of the Manziel years,
yep. 12.
2012. And then there was one, I think, in the late 90s, maybe 98, where they won 11 games. So the standard for this team is 7 to 9 wins. And if they went, what? They won 8 games this last year. The betting money should be on they're not going to win more than 8 or 9 games next year. That's just the way this team is. And they have a mindset that a lot of SEC teams have, like Auburn and now Florida. Florida's had a lot more success in those two teams historically, but there are these fan bases that think that they should be 10, 11 win teams every year, and there's 7, 8, 9 win teams every year, and that's just the norm. I feel that we're going to see the average more so than we see the expectation this year.
I may actually adjust my thinking a little bit. 10 wins, maybe a little bit optimistic. I think 9. You guys may
Boy, I hit him with logic, and then he just
No,
steps
no.
back.
Well, I think they're still going to be good, and I think they're probably going to end the season strong. But I think they take a couple of L's early that they
Right.
probably
Right.
shouldn't. Like nobody,
Well,
if you want to be in the playoff, you shouldn't be losing to Missouri. And I could
well,
see
Yeah,
that being a trap game.
they can
well,
totally do it. Yeah.
finishing the season strong means winning at Texas to end the year.
Correct.
So that would be pretty
That's
strong.
a statement win.
That would be pretty strong. So uh, a few of the games I highlighted at Texas, at LSU, at Notre Dame, uh, home against Auburn and Florida, and then I don't know, was South Carolina home or away?
I can't remember, but I think it was away. I could be wrong though.
So they got to win 4 of those 6 games, plus every other game on their schedule, the gimmies,
Yeah.
to
It's
win
at
10
A&M.
games.
It's
And
at
so,
A&M, and it's also at Notre Dame to open it up.
so are they winning 4 of those 6? If they win 4 of those 6 and the gimmies, then they win 10 games. I just don't
Yeah.
see it.
I
I
don't
mean,
see it either.
Florida at
Nine and
home, Auburn at
three.
home. Yeah, 9-3 would be a good year, honestly.
It'd be a great year. I think that would overshoot almost every A&M fan's expectations, at least the realistic ones, because this is a tough schedule that they did not joke around when making this one. If
Yeah.
they had a couple other teams off of there, if they had a different out of conference opponent, I could easily see 9 wins, but they're going to be beat up.
Trouble ahead for SEC newcomers, and I'm not talking about Texas there. I'm talking about Oklahoma. And I'll just give my take first because this was actually the one I had to think about the most because I think you can make a case for either team. For Oklahoma, obviously Brent Venables, 22 and 17 the last 3 seasons. That's not really going to cut it in Norman, but I guess you cut him some slack because they're just joining the SEC. But you can see why Lincoln Riley was so quick to leave for USC. Like another Midwest team, Nebraska, it's hard for those schools to compete in the SEC. Now, Texas can do it because Texas is just different and they have talent. They're not really Midwest or Southwest, but Oklahoma is structured very much like a Nebraska team is structured. Midwest school that's had history in the past, but they're going to struggle to get recruits in there and they're going to struggle with NIL. But at the same time, Texas is competing for a national title. And with Arch Manning, that's going to be the expectation this year. So, I mean, I can make the case for either side, but I'm just going to say Texas because they have it's national title or bust, right? But Brett Venables may be fired.
Who do you
Evan,
want
Evan,
to go
take it.
first? You want me to go first? Okay.
Yeah,
go
you can
ahead.
do
Go
it.
ahead.
Yeah. I don't know that Texas has any more to prove after 1 year in the SEC. They made it very far in the playoffs. They made it to the SEC championship. Record aside, that was with their last quarterback. Now they've got their new quarterback. They've got a lot of hype around them, but nobody expects a true first year quarterback in the SEC to make all these different titles. Oklahoma, on the other hand, they were 10-3 in 2023. Then they moved to the SEC and they were what do I have
Two and
written
eight,
down?
5
Six
and
and
7.
seven.
Yeah.
6-7. That's an awful record. It's really just terrible, especially for a team that for the last few years has been a really, really great team nationally. And you're right, Lincoln Riley, don't blame him for leaving. But this team proved everybody else right that said when coming to the SEC, you're going to get a kick in the pants. Texas did the opposite and said, okay, watch us. We're going to win enough games. We're going to get to the SEC championship and we're going to go for a playoff run. Oklahoma, they just didn't do it.
I think this really comes down to a difference of floor and ceiling. The floor for Oklahoma is probably 4 wins,
Yeah,
right?
that's fair.
The
Yeah.
floor for Texas is probably 10 wins in a playoff berth. That's the floor.
Ooh, I don't know about
That's
that.
not the
Okay.
floor for
10
them.
wins for a floor?
No.
That's
You have to think the amount of money that they are throwing at Sark right now. If he doesn't make it at minimum, he's in a Ryan Day 2024 seat right now. If he doesn't make the playoff and make a run, it's kind of an ugly situation for him because they've put every piece of talent that they possibly can around him to not win the big game. It is the Ryan Day effect, only he was able to overcome with his $20 million roster. Difference is Texas is now even more than that. Like I said earlier, they're estimating between 35 and 50 million. With
Wild.
Oklahoma, though, if they exceed that, let's say the floor is 4 wins, let's say they go 8-4, right? I think Brett Venable probably saves his job.
8-4
And he
is good
would,
for them. 8-4
You
correct.
is good
think
for them.
you think his job is on the line?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He fired his entire staff. Him and Lincoln are both for top tier programs up at the very top of the firing list this year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fair.
okay.
if you like the show, we are going to post this stuff on social media. We promise, as my promise to you. YouTube, Spotify, X, Facebook, Instagram. Something will be there this week. We guarantee it, Cameron.